Elena's world was built of sugar, flour, and butter. Her tiny bakery, the rising sun, was her sanctuary, a place where the air was always warm and sweet. But the heart of her world was her best friend, Leo. They had been inseparable since childhood, two dreamers who promised to build their futures together. It was Leo who encouraged her to open the bakery. Leo, who was her first and most loyal customer. So, when Elena walked in one morning to find the safe empty and Leo gone, the foundation of her world crumbled. Not just the money for the rent was missing, but a lifetime of trust. A single note was left behind. "I'm so sorry. I had no choice." The bitterness that followed was a sourdough that refused to rise. It leavened every thought, every moment. The bakery stayed open, but the joy had gone out of it. Eleanor's pastries, once famed for their lightness, became heavy, dense with her unspoken anger. Customers noticed. The lines grew shorter. She replayed the betrayal every night. How could he? Why didn't I see it? The questions were a torturous loop. A well-meaning friend told her, "You have to forgive him to find peace." The words infuriated her. Forgiving him felt like condoning what he did, like admitting his action wasn't that bad. She wore her anger like a suit of armor, believing it was the only thing protecting her from being hurt again. Years passed. The bakery struggled. Elena struggled. She was tired, so tired of carrying the weight of his betrayal. One rainy afternoon, as she was closing up, a familiar figure appeared under the awning, dripping wet and hesitant. It was Leo. He looked older, weathered, his eyes holding a sadness that mirrored her own. He didn't ask to come in, but she opened the door, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. He stood on the welcome mat, not daring to step further. "I'm not here to make excuses," he began, his voice rough. "I'm here to say what I should have said years ago. I was terrified. My mother was sick, and the medical bills. I was too proud to ask for help, too scared to watch her suffer. I saw the money as a loan. I told myself I'd pay it back 100 times over, but then the shame. It was easier to run." He pulled a worn envelope from his jacket. "It's all there. Every penny. It took me 5 years of working 2 jobs, but it's all there." Eleanor stared at the envelope, then at the man she had once called a brother. The anger was still there, a hot coal in her chest. But beneath it, she saw the truth. She saw his fear, his desperation, his own prison of shame. His crime wasn't born of malice, but of human frailty. He wasn't asking for forgiveness. He was simply returning what was hers. She took the envelope. The physical debt was settled, but the emotional one still hung in the air between them, thick and suffocating. Leo turned to leave. "I just wanted you to have your peace," he mumbled. And in that moment, Eleanor understood. Forgiveness wasn't about him. It wasn't about saying what he did was okay. It was about her. That suit of armor she had been wearing, it wasn't protecting her. It was caging her. It was making her pastries heavy and her heart heavier. "Leo," she said, her voice barely a whisper. He stopped. She took a deep breath, the first full breath she felt she'd taken in years. "The lemon cake," she said. "It's always been your favorite. I just took one out of the oven." He looked at her, stunned, tears welling in his eyes. She didn't invite him back into her life. She didn't promise they would ever be what they were. But she offered him a slice of cake. It was a small act, a tiny crack in the wall she had built. And as she watched him take a bite, a genuine, weary smile touching his lips for the first time, she felt it. The weight didn't vanish, but it shifted. The hot coal of her anger began to cool. Forgiveness, she realized, is not the destination where you arrive and everything is fixed. It is the decision to set down the burden you never deserved to carry in the first place. It is the silent understanding that your peace is more valuable than your pain. The next morning, Elena arrived at the rising sun before dawn. She measured the flour, cracked the eggs, and whipped the butter. And for the first time in years, she whistled while she worked. The pastries that day were, as the customers would later remark, the lightest they had ever tasted. They tasted, quite simply, of freedom.